Welcome to the Sherwood Urban Farm, and in today's video we are going to discuss how to start your own urban homestead. So if you've ever dreamt of raising chickens, growing your own food, or just living more sustainably right in the heart of the city, this video is for you. The beauty about farming in the city is that you don't have to go and buy a farm. You can just use your back garden. Even if you live in a block of flats and you have a balcony, you can still grow your own food. I have grown just over a kilogram of carrots in 5-liter containers. So anything is possible, even in containers. Should you be blessed enough to live in a freestanding house in the suburbs, then the best thing to do is to have a look at your backyard. Have a look where you're going to put your compost, where are you going to put your vegetable beds. Are you going to use tall raised beds, or are you going to use in-ground beds? When you're looking to place your vegetable garden, the best thing to do is to try and get it as close to your kitchen as possible, close to a source of water, and where you're going to get at least 6 hours of sunlight. And if you're really brave, which isn't actually that brave, then you would also want to maybe start with some chickens for eggs, because that is really not difficult. Chickens are amazing. I'm going to do a whole video on how one can get into the amazing life of raising chickens for eggs, because they are just such a joy, chickens. And we have got so many eggs at the moment. I haven't got any more space for them, and I only have 6 laying hens. If you're starting out like from scratch and you've got a backyard that's got hardly anything in it, then I would suggest that you draw out your back garden, and you can nicely plan exactly where you would like everything to be. Your compost heaps, your chicken run, if you're going to have chickens, I would highly recommend chickens. Where you're going to have your in-ground beds, or if you're going to do tall raised beds, where you're going to put those. Always keep into consideration when you are doing your vegetable beds that you would like them to be close to a source of water, and you would like it close to your kitchen, because you don't want to, if you have a really nice big back garden, traps all the way across to the back of the garden or to the bottom of the garden to go and just get a couple of herbs. Now, the beauty of the no-dig or no-till system is that you don't have to go and remove all the grass from your backyard so that you could put in your in-ground beds. All you need to do is take cardboard and get a load of compost. So you place your cardboard where you want to have your in-ground beds, and then you'll have somebody deliver some really nice compost for you, and you would just lay down compost, probably about 20 centimeters worth of compost. And then if you leave that for a while, I actually never left mine. I planted straight into that compost, because if the when the cardboard gets wet, then it starts to degrade and the plant's roots will go right through the cardboard. But at the same time, it's killing the grass underneath. Occasionally you'll get little bits of grass coming through, but you just keep pulling it out, and eventually you won't have any grass in your beds anymore. And the soil doesn't get disturbed, so all the microorganisms and that whole microbiome in the soil remains intact, and it will be absolutely beautiful because it was never disturbed. So you'll have an amazing success. I've helped a friend like that. They did it in her front garden. She used her front garden as her edible garden, but she didn't have rows and stuff, so it doesn't look like she's farming something. She made it so beautiful. It has paths, and the actual bed is like you would a normal put down an ornamental bed. She did that, but then she just put in all of her edible crops, and it is amazing. It looks so nice. Ideally, you want to start your own compost system where you will be able to use all your kitchen waste, and you can use all your garden waste, and then you would start to do your own composting, because in that way you're going to save quite a bit of money. Instead of buying compost in, which can get a little bit pricey, you will have your own supply of compost, and that's where chickens come in so handy. I have got my composting bins, but most of my compost is coming out of my chicken run. So I just throw in all our grass clippings. I get grass clippings from my neighbors when the lawn service comes, and all the kitchen waste and everything, and we throw that into the chicken run, and then they scratching it up. And also when there's maybe a little bit of a smell, then I will put down wood shavings, which I get from a neighbor who does woodworking, and all of that, they are digging it up and they're doing the whole composting system for me. And I tell you, I've had the most amazing growth from the compost from my chicken run. Gardening is the core component to having an urban homestead. Growing your own food will be your first step towards sustainable living. My best advice would be to grow the food that your family eats. I know it looks so nice when you see on all those channels people growing eggplants and okra and all kinds of exotic vegetables, but then when you present these hard-earned vegetables which you grew, took hours to grow and days and whatever, to your family, and they turn their noses up for it because it's something that they don't actually eat, then it really is heartbreaking, and it's a waste of your time and of your resources. So the first thing I would suggest is to grow food that you know that your family eats. And then you can even just start with growing herbs. Herbs are really easy. Most of them come from the Mediterranean. So in our climate, that's just amazing. It works perfectly well. You can even have them on your kitchen windowsill in pots if you have a sunny windowsill, that is. Yeah, so start with herbs. Start with carrots. Carrots are really easy. Or you can take potatoes that have started to send shoots out from the kitchen and put them in 20-liter buckets. That's my main way of growing potatoes. I really like that, and I've even grown potatoes right through the winter in that way in the buckets. So the best advice that I can give you is grow the vegetables that your family eats, and start with simple vegetables. Well, actually, I don't think there are really difficult vegetables to grow. Tomatoes are very easy, carrots, lettuce in the winter, you can't go wrong with that. And then Swiss chard, or what we call spinach, that is such a prolific producer. So you can't really go with, maybe in my case, I find onions. Oh, I struggle growing onions. I don't know why. They just don't seem to want to bulb. Anyways, but yes, stick with the vegetables that your family eats and that are easier to grow. Raising your own chickens is such a rewarding experience, and to get those first fresh eggs when they start laying, there is nothing to describe the joy of just eating them and fetching them out of their little nesting boxes. It's amazing. So when you're choosing to get your chickens, I would recommend Australorps, which are the black ones that we have, or we have also got Rhode Island, I've got one Rhode Island red. If you can get Lomond Browns, those are not heritage breed chickens, but they are the ones that you would normally find in the chicken production or egg production. But yeah, so you want to get a breed of chicken that is not going to go breedy often, that is there for laying eggs. And then you want to, before you get your chickens, make sure that you have proper housing for them. They don't like to be wet, and they don't like to be in the wind. So you want to make sure that their housing is secure like that. And then if you live in an area where there's possibly predators, you want to make sure that the predators can't get to them, specifically at night. I would also recommend having them in a chicken run, because if they can just free range, they will do tremendous damage to your garden, even just your ornamental garden or your vegetable garden, and it totally limits where you can grow and the space that you can use. And then in their coop, it is advisable that they have little perch, because they like to perch at night when they sleep, and fresh drinking water. That is also very important. Sometimes people don't understand why their chickens aren't laying, but they do drink an awful lot of water, specifically in the summer months when it's really hot. Oh, and you also want to provide a place for them to dust bath, because they will be able to monitor or manage their own pests and lice and stuff if they are able to dust bath. Then you don't have to worry with trying to eradicate any kind of pests with any kind of chemical insecticide or something like that. Something that I feel every South African home should just have is water tanks. We are living in quite a dry environment, we don't get that much rain. I think the country gets about 500 milliliters a year. So if you want to have your own vegetable garden, grow your own food, vegetables do need quite a bit of water. And the best way to do it is to have your own water tanks. We've got two 5,000 liter tanks, and then we have a pump so that we are able to irrigate our vegetable gardens and tall raised beds. And that is decidedly the best way to water your garden or your vegetable garden. Municipal water it's not the end of the world if all you have is municipal water, but ideally you would like to have rainwater, because the municipal water is being treated so that there's no cholera and all kinds of other things in it. But unfortunately it does also do damage to your soil microbiome. Growing your own food it is just so rewarding, but you don't know everything. So I would really advise you to get onto WhatsApp groups which are focused on vegetable gardening and homesteading or urban homesteading. Watch as many YouTube videos as you can. Connect with as many people as you can, because it's just wonderful. Even in your own journey, even if you start out, you will be learning things all the way, and you'll be able to share knowledge with others. It's good to get in contact with a community of people who are like-minded and who have got a wealth of knowledge, because knowledge is power. If you work full-time and you only get home after 5 o'clock, don't let that stop you from starting to grow your own food. You can start with a small vegetable garden. Chickens are really easy to look after. They're not like dogs. I mean, dogs need your attention. They need you to walk them. If you grow your vegetables using the no dig, no till method, then you will have to do minimal stuff in the garden. You just got to make sure that there's sufficient water. And then every time I change a crop out, then I put down more compost. But otherwise, like, there are minimal weeds. Your weed pressure is really very little with the no dig system. The plants just grow, they thrive. So you might probably just need some weekends where you will be in the garden, and then in the evenings when you get home after you've had your supper, even if it's in winter, you can go out with your head torch and just spend some time in your vegetable garden and checking up if there's pests or so on. But really, with no dig, those kind of things are very minimal, and you don't need hours and hours in the garden. By just watching this video, you have taken the first step towards growing your own food and towards urban homesteading. It is such a rewarding experience to be able to grow your own food. Never mind the benefits to your mental health by interacting with nature and just touching the soil and all of those wonderful things. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.